What's up everybody, Nikolai here from RCGroups.com, and today we're going to look at RealFlight 8, the Horizon Hobby Edition. Now it was just about a year ago that all of us over at RC Groups were reviewing RealFlight 8 for you guys, and that was introducing a lot of new games and scenarios. It's got some quad racing in it and the very cool VR features that it introduced. And it's finally going to be able to introduce some great Horizon Hobby products for you on the RealFlight simulator, which we've never been able to fly before unless you, of course, you made your own model. But now we have authentic Horizon products right on RealFlight, which is an awesome feature to finally be able to have. So with those Horizon Hobby products, I've got the list pulled up here. We have a nice list of about a dozen new airplanes and aircraft that we can fly. Starting off with the Blade Fusion 270 and the 480 versions. The awesome E-Flight Apprentice that a lot of people learn to fly on. That'll be awesome to have on this simulator. And then the E-Flight Carbon Z Cessna. We have both a 4-cell and a 6-cell version. And my favorite, the F-27 Evolution. I've had a Striker since it first came out, and this is awesome to have finally on RealFlight that I can fly. And then the very interesting Mini Convergence VTOL. It's going to be a fun one to fly. E-Flight Timber is a big hit with everybody. So we've got the regular and the float plane edition. Do some float flying in RealFlight. Then we've got the FMS F-15 64mm EDF. And for you gas folks, we've got the Hangar 9 Carbon Cub 15cc. And then the Hangar 9 Ultra Stick 30cc. We've got the little Micro Hobby Zone Sport Cub S. And then finally we've got the Park Zone Consendo Advanced. Great little hotliner glider. So I've already got the Apprentice loaded up here. And I'll bring it in for you. You can see a little bit just how much detail they put into these. I've got my graphics turned all the way up, but you can see the foam dimples and all the wire gear. Rubber bands even have their own texture, and it just looks absolutely like the real thing. Off on the right here, you'll see a new flight mode box, and inside that is a couple things that we've never had on RealFlight, and that is Safe and AS3X. This is going to be a great addition to for the new pilots that are going to be buying a plane that might have this on there, so they can see exactly how it's going to behave once they get the real plane. The safe modes, of course, will limit your travels and your pitch angles, and then the AS3X will let you do anything you want, but it'll level out the wind bumps. Okay, so I've loaded up the Apprentice here in the beginner mode, safe mode beginner, and I'm going to show you guys just exactly how easy this Apprentice is to take off, just like that, hands off, throttle up, and it takes off on its own. Now for those of you unexperienced with the safe modes, this beginner mode does limit your bank angles to about 50 degrees left and right. And if I try to go down or up, you'll see no matter how hard I'm pulling on that stick, it calms that right down, so you can't get into too much trouble. And then the nice thing about beginner mode is as soon as I let off the stick, it will auto level itself. No matter what position I'm in, it will auto level. Now if I switch that to intermediate mode, it will let me bank to about 80 degrees, 85 degrees. And it'll give me more up and down, but it will not let me go inverted. And it will also not auto level. Now some of the planes have a panic mode, and I don't believe that's built into the RealFlight as of this point, but to simulate that you can be in any mode and then switch back to beginner mode and it'll auto level, which effectively does the same thing. If I switch it to the AS3 experienced mode, I now have full control. I can go inverted, do loops, and whatever I please. So I have flown many apprentices, trained many student pilots in my 20 years of flying, and I will say this apprentice flies pretty much exactly like what I remember. It even does that, which I remember distinctly. Alright, some of the other aircraft I'll show you here is the Carbon Z Cessna 150. This is the 6-cell version. Now, I personally haven't flown this plane, but I have a clubmate that has one. He has it out there quite often. I see him flying it, so I invited him over to fly this on the simulator, and he was very pleased with how it flew. He said it flew basically exactly like his real one. He was trying all kinds of different things. He was trying to hover it. He was trying to do tail landings and all kinds of stuff that he does on a nice calm evening, dragging the tail like that. And he said it behaves pretty much exactly like his. He found very little differences. He said his will hover, but you have to keep up after it, which you have to do in this one. It's getting on its back, but it flies very nicely. And again, this comes in a 4-cell and a 6-cell version. The 4-cell, you can still fly very nicely on it. It just needs a little bit more power, a little more throttle. So again, if I zoom in here and come a little bit closer, you can really see the detail that they went into. They've got all of the clips and pins, the foam textures on there. They've got the strut pins, all the landing gear. You can see the lights on the wingtips. These do light up in the night fields. There's 2 tail lights and then the wingtip lights. There's also a light here in the nose that lights up on the real plane, but it does not light up in the simulator. I'm not sure why they voted that one, but they did add lights onto the prop, which they do, I think, for all the planes on the night fields. But again, it's a very nice looking plane. They added all the details of the real one. They've got the wing clips up there, the antennas, and it looks really, really nice. So moving on to that is my favorite, the F-27 Evolution. And I'm going to put this in safe mode for launching, just like I do. And I'll switch it back, give me full control. Now, like I said, I've had a Striker since they first came out. I don't know how many years ago. It's been a long, long time. I've had many of them. I have had the micro one and all that, so I know how these guys fly. And this one is pretty darn close. I can throttle up, do some nice low passes, climb up to 1,000 feet, or sorry, 400 feet, and then throttle, glide back down. One thing I did notice on this model is once I throttle off, if I try to level out, it just drops like that. There's a very distinct drop on the simulator, but not on the real plane, and I'm not sure why that is. It might be a CG issue on the model, but it drops quite a bit if I let off the elevator there with the throttle off. So that's one difference I did notice. But when that throttle is on, this plane is locked in just like the real plane. You can do nice low passes, full speed, 100 mile an hour. So I'm going to reset that and show you guys some other things on here. Now, the Convergence I have not flown. I've got a couple guys at the field that have flown it, and they said that this mini Convergence is a nice model. Flies better than the original, at least. So I'm going to put this into multi-rotor mode so we can launch here. I'm going to set my zoom mode so I can actually see the thing. There we are, we're up in the air flying just like a quad. I can throttle up and switch it into airplane mode. And that transitioned very nicely. can transition it back into multi-rotor. Bring her back this way for landing. So again, there is two versions of this convergence plane. There's the simple and the advanced. The simple one combines the two functions. It mentions it here on the description. It combines the two functions on the three-way switch for the stability mode and for the multi-rotor to airplane mode, where the simple one, or the advanced one, changes that into two different switches, one for switching to the airplane in multi-rotor, and then one other switch for the stability mode. The last one I'm going to show you here is the UltraStick 30cc from Hangar 9. This is a fun plane. You might remember me reviewing the 95-inch or so, the 60cc version from Hobbico about a year ago. It's a great flying plane. This one flies a lot like it. This is the 30cc version. I don't recall what the wingspan is on it. It's got the Evolution gas motor on it. But I noticed a couple of things on here. You'll see we've got the ailerons flapping here, and then we have the flaps on the dial. But if I switch my three-way switch, now I have integrated flaps and ailerons. If I flip it again, now we have crow. So you can use this to do some interesting functions in aerobatics. When you're in crow mode, you can activate this on a downline. It'll really slow you down. You might have seen Seth Arnold do it on his Mamba during some noontime demos at Jonal. You can go way up, cut the throttle, go in a straight dive down, put crow on, and you'll slow right down and have a nice controlled landing. So that's a lot of fun to play with. I'll take it off real quick here, show you how it flies. So one thing I did notice that I wanted to mention is plane to plane, your trims might change a little bit. It does not store a trim per plane. So if I'm flying the Apprentice, it requires a little bit different trim than the UltraStick here. So you might need to adjust your trims when you change models, but that's to be expected for the simulator. So this flies quite a bit like the UltraStick that I flew. Really happy with this model. It's a lot of fun, very acrobatic, and it's a nice gas model for their lineup. So I'm not going to fly all these models for you. You don't need to watch me fly. You need to buy this Horizon Hobby Edition and see them for yourself, experience them. They are a lot of fun. This is a good beginner selection for their Horizon Hobby line. I did notice a lot of them are high wings, so I was a little disappointed in that, but I'm sure they're going to have a great selection coming up. They've got their new Viper jet that should be fun, and a lot of other models that are really great on their product line that I'm really looking forward to flying in RealFlight. That should be a lot of fun. So again, this is the RealFlight 8 Horizon Hobby Edition. Go check it out at horizonhobby.com. It's going for $180. If you did buy a RealFlight 8 already, if you purchased it after September 1st, 2018, you are eligible to receive the Horizon Hobby Edition at no charge. Otherwise, you can buy the add-on if you already have RealFlight 8 for only $30. So don't forget to check out my full review at rcgroups.com. And until next time, keep your wings level.